worries. Matthew, can I just start, I guess, with the uncomfortable one? Do you think the drama and the fine and the plane trip had any distracting aspect on the game or the players' mindset today?
No, none whatsoever. We didn't get it right to start the game, and we're extremely frustrated, all of us, about the fact that we weren't able to get the result. In a way, it's one we gave away in the end. With all respect to Collingwood, that it's a great win for them, but we gave them the ball back over and over, and it's hard to defend when you do that. Unfortunately, it's one that got away. So frustration at the moment. Really disappointed with the way we started the game. We came in with a game plan, and we unfortunately didn't look anything like what we came in with. But we look to our group's credit, we had a chance to have a timeout at quarter time and regroup, and they came out and played some great footy in the second quarter, again in the third, and then to get it wrong at the end of the game and just completely lose our structure and when the game was on the line was, again, so frustrating. And that's not from a coaching point of view, purely my frustration. That's players. We sat around post-game and had quite a lengthy review. But yeah, we're extremely disappointed again, unfortunately. Although there is some positive there and there's some growth we're seeing from the group, it's not acceptable to come out like we did to start the game.
Is that as bad as the skills have been for the team in a game so far this year? I know you've had times where, say, probably the desire hasn't been there with the GWS game, but has that been as bad as it's been from a skill-wise perspective? Yeah,
unfortunately, it's not probably just the skill; it's the decision-making. For some reason, this afternoon, that was way off. We're picking off targets that weren't there. We made the wrong decision over and over. And then if it wasn't the wrong decision, we didn't execute. So, yeah, it's fair to say that was probably the worst quarter of footy we've played with the ball in hand. Unfortunately, more than that, to allow a team that had been taking uncontested marks and possessing the ball, to allow that team to have 40 marks plus in the first quarter, uncontested, it's one that we all shook our head about at quarter time. And as I said, we regrouped, and when we were able to take that away, the game was on our terms, and we weren't kicking straight. So unfortunately, that it all came today. It was a really, really disappointing day for us, but enough positives scattered in amongst it to show that we are a good side. We can play good footy and compete with the best of them, but we can also shoot ourselves in the foot at times and lose games off our own bat.
You mentioned the lengthy chat that you had in the rooms just then. What was the feedback from the players about why that start was so sluggish?
They're always interesting conversations, those, because it's not necessary that you come out and find the exact answer for it. Sometimes it comes back to just the connection of the group, whether you can be off 0.5% and a team can, at this level, can really make you look poor. And maybe that's what it was. We were off 0.5% at the start of the game. That 0.5% can then flow through to your ball use, to your decision making, to your defence, your contest. And when you then bring your game back to where it needs to be, all of a sudden the numbers start going in your favour. And that's really what we saw after quarter time, that all our KPIs lit up green and we were getting the job done, other than putting the ball between the two big sticks. We had that sort of night. Tex, I'm not sure what Tex ended up kicking, 2-6 or something thereabouts, but he's been so big for us all year. And tonight he was great. We just didn't quite have the accuracy there.
Well, yeah, what do you put that inaccuracy in front of goal down to? Can you explain that? I mean, obviously Tex has been great this year, but has an off night. Fogarty is normally one of the most reliable players in the league when it comes to kicking goals. I mean, he kicked 2 behinds, but still that's the second time he's done that in his career. So yeah, what do you put that down to?
I put that down to just an incident. It's not a trend. I think if we go back to maybe round one, or even in the pre-season, we kicked in accurately in a game, and we had a conversation about it post that particular week, and we said, look, it's not a trend, and when it becomes a trend, we'll address it. But our trend so far this year with our goal kicking has been we've done a lot of work on it, as every club is. We've got some very, very good goal kickers in the two guys you mentioned, and so it is what it is tonight. We didn't get it done. We kicked the harder ones probably tonight and missed the easy ones. I think Shane knocked that one through from the boundary line, and you sort of shake your head as a group and say, wow, we missed from 30 out, but then we kicked the one from 45 on the boundary line. But it'll be one that we won't put too much time into. There's a lot of other areas that we've got to work on to make sure we get right before we go there.
What goes wrong that you touched on briefly in the last quarter there that you didn't like?
It's something, without going into too much detail, it's something we did really well against Melbourne. And so similar finish to a game of football where the lead changes, and we were unable to get structurally set up the moment we went behind. I won't bore you with the detail, but reasonably simple stuff that our guys have done so well in weeks gone by. We didn't get done tonight. And it's not necessarily the difference in why we lose the game, but maybe we give ourselves a small chance towards the end there where we've got some numbers ahead of the ball and we're able to just take some territory and get it in. And we might have snuck one late. But to be honest, it would have been one of those games where if we got the win in the end, we still would have probably had a long conversation post the game and about some areas we've still got to improve on.
I'll just ask directly, Matthew, about the AFL sanction. Obviously it's a big financial hit, but how much do you think it tarnishes the reputation of the club in the short term? You've been big on character and being good citizens, but but besides the financial aspect of it, just the hit, I guess, to the respect of the club. Yeah,
and we are big on our character and the people we have in the footy club. We have a fantastic group of people in the footy club, but we made a mistake and we got it wrong in this instance. And so we put our hand up for that. And look, it doesn't come back to people having poor character or our culture being poor. It's an error that we've made, and we have to be better than that. And we apologise to the people who were on the flight. And we'll continue to do our best, as everyone is, right across the AFL, right across the community, to make sure we look after each other. Unfortunately, this was one we got wrong.
Were you aware of it at the time, or?
Look, no, I wasn't. And a little bit of that is helping each other out in those moments where, you may, for those who have flown, you may take your mask off while you're eating and drinking on the flight, and then, to have it then still down around your chin or not over your nose at a certain point. We need to be better at helping each other and looking after each other and saying, hey, look, put your mask back on. And unfortunately, we didn't get that right on this particular flight. There's a period of time where that didn't happen. So similar to the things we're working on with our game, we've got to look after each other and at times communicate. And we missed it on this occasion.
Given that it goes into the soft cap, and do you ask, I guess, players, staff who weren't doing, I guess, the right thing to cover some of the fine to some extent, or?
No, one in all in. We made the mistake as a team, as an organisation, and so we'll cop that.
Speak of that, there's some harsh lessons being learnt along the last 2 months, I guess, with a very impressive win in there as well. I mean, are you confident that these harsh lessons are being learnt, that you're still building towards something greater?
Yeah, very much so. I've been around long enough to have seen a number of different organisations, and look, where we sit at the moment is, it is a really tough time at this point. And I'm talking about the last half an hour since the game finished. But we are well and truly on track for where we want to be. We'd love to have got this one and got the points. But we have a fantastic organisation. We've got a great group of people where we're doing some really good stuff, and we're growing. And today was a big learn for a young group of players. We don't want to have too many more of these learns, and I've mentioned this over the last month. They'll get sick of it eventually, and that's part of the learning process. Is you actually get to a point as a player, and sometimes that's 50 games in, where you actually just get sick of experiencing this feeling. At the moment, we've got a lot of players who aren't quite at that point yet, where they haven't quite played the 50, but it's not only about that lack of experience. We've got some senior players at the moment who are hurting as well. So we'll get better, and we'll continue to get better, but we're on track, and we are growing as a group.
I guess you can't talk about trends before, and this is probably arguably the third loss where most people would have expected the Crows to win with Hawthorn and Freo, or maybe let a win maybe go through the fingers. I mean, do you feel like you've missed out on some opportunities to have a better win record? I mean, you'd even be quite high up the ladder if you got two or all three of them.
Well, yeah, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't agree. There's some games we could have won, and maybe looking back on it, if we got things right, we should have, but we didn't. We didn't get it right at the time, and that's footy. The most crucial times in games, those pressure moments, whether we like it or not, we're not performing to the level we need to win those games of football. Unfortunately, today that was the first quarter. The game score was 5 goals. We had 5 goals from turnover against in the first quarter. Areas that we'd been working on for reasons that we'd trained right coming into the game. So the pressure was on, and we didn't get it done. So yeah, we're frustrated, and yep, there's games that got away, but too bad. We're not good enough in those pressure moments. We have to be better.
Matthew, do you have any injury concerns out of today's game? I think Taylor Walker looked pretty sore at one point. Is he all good to go?
He's good to go. Nothing that I know of at this point. Tex, I think it was first quarter, he took a little knock, but he was fine, played the game out, and there's nothing I've heard otherwise.